Good evening. Today is March 1st. S&P 500 closed down 52 points after being down over 100 at the low. It's still up a few points for the year, but it managed to erase 50% of the sell-off. Nasdaq closed down 200 points, also recovering almost half of the sell-off from the intraday. It was down more than 11% from the highs today at the low. And small caps were the biggest loser for the day. They were down as much as 5% from the highs and closed down 2.3%. And Cathie Wood's innovation ETF, again, was in the news, down over 5%, and it's down over 28% since the high. And Tesla, which is one of her major holdings, was down at 600 today, over 33% from the highs. So oil was a notable mover today, was up almost 5%. And Bitcoin sold off a bit after failing at 50,000 level and now is trading at 48. Overall, given how much the market sold off, Bitcoin was holding up pretty well. Bonds were down again today, and the whole sell-off started as Mr. Powell failed to reassure the markets. He said that he's planning to keep the easy money policy going for a long time because he wants to make sure that labor market improves and wages go up. He has very high standards to identify maximum employment. He also said that economic reopening could create some upward pressure on prices, but that he will be patient changing the policy because he expects this inflation uptick to be transitory. Victor, what do you make of today as Mr. Powell has disappointed the markets and we were wrong again and the market sold off? But to me, it seems like it was some sort of capitulation move today.
We're at a 20-day low in both Nasdaq and S&P, and that's been very bullish. Expect a nice rise tomorrow. And the market is revolted and tired of all the hiding and the non-economic knowledge of the key. It looks like Chance Gardner is playing it for 1 year. He wants to be reelected, and as long as he's saying he'll keep interest rates low and that we need more stimulus, he seems like he's the right man. The president is still hiding in the basement. He refuses to have a press conference. I think that hurt the market, between Powell saying something that made no sense, that he says if there's a tightening, he's worried about a tightening, will keep interest rates low for the foreseeable future. His testimony doesn't make sense. It's like whenever he's asked a question, he spouts mumbo jumbo. Tightening means a reduction in the money supply. Presumably that would create inflation, create higher interest rates. And Cuomo is stiff-arming it. There's no way to remove him. He can't. The only way to remove a governor is to impeach him, and about 80% Democrats in the New York legislature. I think the market didn't like it when the president called the governors of Louisiana and Texas Neanderthals, because they want to increase business, stop the lockdowns, and the relation between unions and the Democrats is very, very close. Everything they do is with the forbearance of the unions. They refuse to open up schools. And the stimulus bill has so much pork in it. They say that the reason that the president doesn't want to have a press conference is his approval rating would go down. There's 50 million for Planned Parenthood and 6 months of leave for any government employee who has a birth in the family. Oh, and 6 months leave if he has a child that is in school online. Well, they're not opening most of the schools, and so that any government employee will get 6 months leave in addition to the fact that their jobs are never fired, above the average anywhere, 25% above the private sector. So I think there's a lot of bad things that people are revolting against, but tomorrow we'll have an employment number, and it's a good time to buy the market when S&P and Nasdaq is at a 20-day low, and people are talking about the correction in Nasdaq. That's also good time corrections are good times to buy. VIX was way up today. There must have been tremendous margin liquidation today, a lot of weak longs. I mean, it was down 120 points from the high, that's $6,000, and futures, the margins are 13,000, and the maintenance margin is 11,000. So all the weak longs were in danger of liquidating, and I'm sure that a certain options broker made a lot of money by liquidating people at the lows. Got down to 37.20, which was exactly where we started the year from. It's a very sad day. Inflation is going through the roof. I don't know. They don't take into account food prices and oil prices, but people do drive and they do eat food, and soybeans are at a maximum. Oil is at a 12-month high. Gas prices are at a high. Everything's up except the stock market. What else do you see?
Well, there was an interesting article today on the health front that London Telegraph reported. They have studied 100 countries by the World Obesity Federation and found that most of the deaths occurred in countries with a high level of obesity. And they noticed that the death rates were 10 times higher in nations where obesity is more than 50% of the population. For example, Britain has the third highest COVID death rate, also has the fourth highest obesity rate. And on the flip side, Vietnam has the lowest level of obesity in the world and has the lowest level of deaths. But of course, our medical authorities only want us to wear masks, and they don't talk about all the obesity and that the population has. Instead, we're now in the body positivity movement. So obesity is beautiful, maybe whatever, it's to each its own, but there's also health aspects of that people need to be aware of. But instead, they closed the gyms and made people stay home, so you can't exercise and you just get fatter and fatter. And so here we are.
Well, what's happening in terms of the number of people testing positive for COVID and the hospitalizations and the deaths from that? Are they continuing to go down by 20%?
Yeah, what I saw, they continue to go down, right? And More and more people are vaccinated.
Well, I guess they're trying to suppress the decline in COVID, decline in deaths, because they want to put the stimulus bill
Right.
with all the pork in it,
Right.
earmarks.
And now some doctors are coming on the air saying that, well, now that we started wearing masks, we need to wear them forever because flu is killing people too. So why not wear masks forever? So it's one of those things that it seems we're never going back to normal.
Well, that's the way the current administration would like it, because there'll be more progressive, more government control of the economy, and the individuals will have less freedom to pursue their normal day-to-day things, and they'll become more and more people will become dependent upon the government, and that will increase the the number of bagged votes. So there's a lot of revulsion, but stock market is very resilient. Great time to buy it when it's at a 20-day low. Had 3 big down days in a row. The employment numbers can't be as bad as Chance Gardner's report. So when there's all bad news, it's a good time. Any news will be better than expected. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry I don't have anything earth-shattering, except that the 20-day lows are very, very bullish. There's a conjunction, only happened once before employment, and that was a very bullish day. Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Victor. Good night.